So after the dust has now settled for a little while, is it now the time for the Pixel 6 or Pixel 6 owners out there to make the jump to the Pixel 10? Well, yeah, in this video, hopefully I'm going to give you everything you need to know. Before you know, we are rapidly approaching a major milestone, 400,000 subscribers, and we'd love for you to be a part of that. Hit that subscribe button for more honest, no fluff comparisons and analysis just like this. It helps us out a ton, and you get great content delivered right into your inbox. Cheers. So the obvious answer to the question of whether you should switch from an aging Pixel 6 or 6a to a brand new Pixel 10 device is a resounding yes. There are a few things to note though, because as with all technology, there's something new around the corner that you could potentially wait for. That means if you don't like change for the sake of change, you might be wondering, now as I say the dust has settled at the start of this video, is it worth making that jump if you're a hesitant person? Are the changes pronounced enough? What else is there is for you to know out there? We have it covered here, especially as that sale season, that all-important sale season, is rapidly approaching. So the biggest and most notable thing right out of the gate is the erasure of curves from the Pixel 6 versus the Pixel 10. There are a few key reasons this is a good thing. Firstly, you don't have to worry about display edges being in the firing line day to day. Of course, it had a flat screen on the Pixel 6, but all of the lineup now comes with the completely flat displays, so there's no disparity between them, which is great for usability, and it makes life so much easier when you're looking for things like accessories. Think for instance screen protectors, as yeah, they're just easy to get hold of, especially as the Pixel 10 screen is a major improvement. You want to keep that protected. You get a huge bump in display quality across the board, from the Full HD Plus on the base model all the way up to the QHD Plus of the Pro tier. They have locked 120Hz refresh rates, so there's no differences between them now on all of the models, including the Pixel 9a, which is technically part of the 10 lineup, I'm going to call it that anyway. You get increased brightness levels, smaller bezels, smaller punch hole, and better biometric tech to make unlocking a breeze. I do think the shift from the Pixel 6's notoriously slower optical fingerprint sensor for a more modern, faster, ultrasonic fingerprint sensor is immediately day one quality of life improvement that you will notice. You'll even get software-based face unlock on the newer models, which was introduced on the Pixel 7 series, but was never added to the Pixel 6. So two solid options that the Pixel 10 has that the Pixel 6 did miss out on that I think you will really love. A lot of people also really love Pixelsnap. I do too, and it's with good reason. You get MagSafe compatibility with your Pixel 10 with zero downsides. There's almost everything that will work on an iPhone will work on a Pixel 10 series phone. There are some hacky methods to get MagSafe on the Pixel 6. Most of those involve a case or even adding like a sticker to the back of your phone. I personally think that's absolutely fine, albeit not quite the same as native integration like you have on the Pixel 10. You might have tons of accessories in your home and you can just attach or slap them to the back of a Pixel 10 without a second thought, without a case needed as well. I think that's really nice. It's a simple but super important upgrade to the hardware. So when we start to talk about everything else, the first generation Tensor chip, well, I think it seemed fine at first, but slowly over time, problems started to become the norm for many people out there. One of the most frustrating aspects was the heat management. I think that's been a real killer for the entire Tensor lineup until now. But with Tensor G5, the Pixel 10 doesn't appear to suffer from overheating issues as regularly, at least not in normal conditions, like the Pixel 6 could or still can if you're rocking it. What is interesting is how little you might notice as the raw performance gains on a Pixel 10 from the Pixel 6. Even 4 updates later, I'd have to say the Pixel 6 series runs fairly smoothly, all things considered. Yeah, there are some times where you might encounter some slowdowns, but I do think it's impressive how well the lineup has aged despite some of those major hardware foibles and complaints, particularly aimed at Tensor itself. Ultimately, I do think this new upgrade is less about raw speed and more about sustained, cool performance and long-term efficiency. I think that is one of the key reasons someone might be willing to ditch their aging Pixel 6 in favour of Google's latest and greatest. Another reason might be the modem inside, as the Pixel 6 has been a very well-documented pain point for these devices, frequently seeing poor reception, erratic signal drops, and sometimes required complete phone restarts to actually connect to networks. The Pixel 10 features a vastly superior, more modern modem that is fully integrated within the Tensor G5 chip, and it is important to note that this means you're just going to get more rock-solid cellular connectivity in areas where the Pixel 6 tended to struggle, and critically, it consumes far less battery power when hunting for a signal. That was my own biggest complaint with all Pixel 6 series models. Often you'd see no signal, but not realise that your battery is actually draining because of the constant network searching. If you live or work in a marginal coverage area, especially in rural areas, this change makes the upgrade another enticing route out of frustration, annoyance, and yeah, just frustration with your mobile phone, as it is a mobile phone after all. The Pixel 6 series did have large batteries for their time, but they always tended to struggle to achieve true all-day endurance for heavy users out there, and that was largely due to that inefficient Tensor G1 chip and the modem inside as well. The Pixel 10 does benefit from the combined efficiency of the TSMC fabricated Tensor G5 and that improved modem, as I noted, which does lead to an undeniable edge in overall lifespan, especially if you compare day one to day one, which is not always possible. It's not really fair to compare a 4-year-old phone to a brand new one, but you will get a big gain in battery lifespan. For all of the most addicted owners, this phone should easily last a full day, possibly even stretch into 2 days for lighter users out there, or if you want a lighter experience. This substantial jump in battery lifespan is probably another one of those compelling reasons that you might want to make the switch as well. Faster charging though, I think this is a much smaller benefit, and we say smaller because the 21 watt wired charging is now just 30 watts on the Pixel 10 and 10 Pro, or 45 watts on the Pixel 10 Pro XL exclusively, plus there is the added bonus of Qi 2 charging with Pixelsnap at up to 25 watts only on the Pixel 10 Pro XL. It's 15 on the Pixel 10 and 10 Pro. The maximum charging speed of the Pixel 6 Pro was just 23 watts using the Pixel stand, which technically isn't compatible with the Pixel 10, under the frustration, and wired charging was actually rated at 30 watts, but it tended to be a little bit less in real life. Let's be honest here, no Pixel has had fast charging, or truly had fast charging in the traditional sense, and that hasn't changed here in 2025, so if you're looking for really fast charging, these probably aren't the phones for you anyway. Another thing you need to be honest about is, while the Tensor G5 chip is still not going to win any raw performance speed benchmarks against the top silicon from the other competitors and competition out there, I think that's fine. Google's strategy tends to be to use AI and other features to make the phone smarter, not just faster, although we do want to see more of that in the future. Google's intent on using AI to bridge this performance gap by delivering next generation on-device AI features that hopefully improve the daily smartphone experience in ways that raw specifications probably can't, but yeah, kinda can. I'd argue that better performance is still a must for the next generation, and the new additions are so sporadic that I think it's tough to consider them an essential to the daily experience of Material 3 Expressive and Android 16 anyway. For me, I think a few of these are, they're not killer features, they're just nice to haves, Magic Q, all that kind of stuff, but as I say, they're really sporadic. They're not necessarily going to sell you on this phone, especially if you don't see them on a regular basis. But let's not get it twisted. I think there's not necessarily been a quantum leap in the core camera experience on the Pixel 10 when compared directly to the Pixel 6, and I think that's testament to the older device. Some little hardware changes do make things a little bit better. There is a new telephoto on that base Pixel 10, which I do think is incredible for flexibility and one of the reasons why I would pick one up, but it masks a little bit of a downgrade or sensor downgrade on the main or the base model. The upgraded 50 megapixel main sensor, which is available on the Pixel 10 and 10 Pro, the Pixel 10 Pro and 10 Pro XL, is physically larger. It does offer notable improvements in image depth, sharpness, dynamic range, and low light performance because of that. More than just the hardware, I think the Pixel 10 introduces a whole host of extra features and AI-powered features and video modes that are simply unavailable on the older hardware, such as high-quality 10-bit HDR recording, superior video stabilization, video boost as well. Yeah, there's a lot of things here that I think you will want to grasp or get with this new handset. I think ProRes Zoom, while it is a divisive feature, I personally love it. I think it masks some of those hardware limitations, and it masks them quite well. It doesn't work perfectly in all subjects, but at least it is a non-destructive option, and yeah, certain subjects this will make a big difference too. Not everything is going to be brilliant, but the Pixel 10 series will take better photos and record better videos. Is it a quantum leap? I've got to say no, but there is a nice bump here, plus some extra functionality that could be really useful if you're getting annoyed or feel a little bit let down by the Pixel 6 camera systems as these devices have aged. So here's the bottom line if you're comparing these two devices. If you're rocking the Pixel 6, you're sitting on a device that, well, it defined a new era for Google. The first Tensor chip, the big new design, that is complete with that camera bar, which has started to become a little bit iconic. It was a good phone, but it was also, despite its name, a first-generation product. A first-generation products do tend to have flaws. We had that slow biometric sensor, the poor thermal management of the chip, the weak modem, and the missing modern essentials like MagSafe style magnetic charging, which we've been clamoring for here on Android for a long time, and Google has finally done it with their newest model. I do think the Pixel 10 isn't just an iterative upgrade, it's the refined, finished version of what the Pixel 6 was probably supposed to be back at launch, which is, yeah, it's kind of giving Google a pass, but it is what it is. The speed bumps, they're welcome, but the true value lies in the quality of life improvements that are here. So we get that modem that keeps the signal and battery pretty much in check, and the massive jump in usability that Pixelsnap brings to the table. The suite of AR features, I don't think they're enough to sell a phone alone, but when they do work, functions like Magic Q do make your phone feel genuinely smarter and a little bit more convenient as a result. But yeah, we'd like to see it in more places. For now, it just feels like one of those tacked on options that doesn't necessarily take advantage of everything. I do think if you're looking for a reason to jump from the Pixel 6 to this phone, they're probably all you're going to get. The difference between a phone with the potential, the 6, and a phone that delivers on that potential every single day, the 10, is quite a big jump. Crucially, I do think now that the dust has settled after the launch, the initial retail prices started to drop quite drastically, meaning you do get a lot more bang for your buck if you are going to make that switch, more so than you did a few months ago, which is why we held off on that video at the time. It's the moment the original Tensor dream finally becomes a little bit more of a, it's not faultless reality, but it's better than it was before. And I do think now it is a better buy at a much better price point. I want to ask you though, are you making the jump now that we're in the sales season or we're approaching sales season from the Pixel 6, or are you going to hold on to that trusty device for another year and see what the Pixel 11, maybe even the Pixel 12 brings down the line, as yeah, got a few more years of support in the software, which is always great to see. Let me know in the comment sections below. I'm really interested to hear your thoughts, as I do think the Pixel 6 was a pretty revolutionary for Google in terms of bringing that camera bar to the masses and starting that Tensor journey that, yeah, it's been a rocky road, but so far it seems to be starting to get on the right track, as it were. Cheers for letting me know, and I will speak to you later.